Hey guys, so today we'll be talking about a common team headache, right? So let's say you just finished a fantastic sales call, right? And you'll be passing on your customer to person B, right? But all these crucial details and context all live in your head only, or in a note-taking app that only you can see, right? This means that your team, right, you and person B, isn't really on the same page and often leads to missed follow-ups, mixed messages, and a lot of unnecessary back and forth between you, him, and maybe the customer itself, right? It makes it hard to provide a seamless experience, right, when providing your service, right? So what we need is actually a single source of truth, right? One place where everyone in your team can instantly see what exactly happened with each customer, right? And that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to build today, right? So in this workflow, right, that I've built in N8N, which is a low-code automation platform, right, I've built a sales call assistant, right, that automatically takes the FATHM data, the FATHM recording, right, and then creates a summary, and then passes the data into GHL, which is a CRM, to keep things centralized. So this is just an example of how the summary is when it goes into the GHL, right? So we can see the client summary, right? Their budget, takeaways from the meeting, their pain points, right? Solutions that were discussed throughout the meeting, their buying signals, right? Their sales opportunities, the next steps for the client, right? We have to send them a PDF brochure. We have to send them a PDF brochure, right? And also some of the internal tasks that we have to do, right? So this creates a seamless centralized system, right? So whether the next person is a closer, an account manager, a support agent, when they come in, they have a full context on what the customer has been requested, what are the pain points and what the next steps should be, right? So yeah, with that being said, let's just dive in and start building, right? So firstly, we'll be starting off with a webhook, right? Webhook, right? So here we go. We'll be setting this as a post. We'll be setting this as post, and you would want to log into your FATHM account, right? So yeah, the basic free FATHM only provides 5 advanced summaries per month, which isn't really enough, depending on how many calls you're taking. Because we'll be taking more, then you would need more advanced summaries, right? More action steps, pain points, next steps, etc. Right? The normal basic summary only gives you a generic summary, right? So firstly, you need to head over to FATHM, right? Just head over to settings. You can create a FATHM account using your Gmail, right? Right, just scroll all the way down until you reach API access, right? I've already created one before. I'll just create a new one. Generate API key, and right, create API client. This thing, you will need to keep it and save it somewhere. But in this case, we will not be using any of this for the time being, right? Just keep it and save it somewhere, right? Continue. Okay, continue. So you need to then add a webhook right here, right? Add a webhook. Now we'll have to head back into N8N, and for this we'll be using the production URL, right? I've tried the test URL, but somehow it doesn't trigger the workflow, right? So after you've copied this production URL, right, head back into the FATHM and just paste it here, right? And we'll be taking our recording. We want the transcript, the action items, and summary, right? For the action items, if you're on the free plan, it only gives you a few, right? So just create my hook. There you go. Now every time a meeting is finished, right, they'll trigger this webhook and they'll send information into N8N, right? It'll work when you activate it when you're done. So in this case, I don't have any other meetings as it's already almost the end of office hours on a Friday. So I'll be using these pin data, right? A pin data from a previous call to follow up with building this workflow, right? So the next step would be picking up a code node. Right, so I'll be connecting it with this pin data that I already have, right? If you do not have, right, you just have to wait until you have a call already. Then you just head over to executions. and you can go to the part where it was triggered, right? For example, when it was triggered here, this one will turn green, right? The webhook will turn green. So yeah. So firstly, we need to clean up the transcripts, right? So I'll be just copy pasting from the previous workflow that I've created, right? So what it does is it basically takes the internal domains, right, and the transcript, the whole transcript, right? So this is just a code that I've copy pasted from the previous workflow, right? So what it does is it basically just identifies who is who, right? Based on the email that we've used, because we have a internal domain that we use, right, which is sigmaschool.co, right? So using this sigmaschool.co email, right, throughout the call, we'll just make it so that these people, right, is all internal, right? It's all categorized into a internal transcript, right? And everyone that's not Sigma School will be a external transcript, right? So what this does is it basically just goes through the entire meeting script line by line. Yes, and it creates a separate complete transcript for each person, right? So external transcript will have one whole transcript, and internal transcript will have one internal transcript, right? So you can just separate it into external and internal transcript instead of it being, external said one thing, internal said one thing, external said one thing, internal said one thing, right? Yep. So let me just scroll through this real quick so you can see the code, right? Yep. Right. Check if it's external, you then split them out and put them as external transcript when you return it later on. Right. There you go. So from then on, you can see the output, right? So this is just the merged text of all the external transcript, right? Everything from this guy, right? It will all be here. Yep. So this is all this text that he said, right? And this is all the timestamp of all of this, but we'll be ignoring all of this, so it doesn't matter. And if you scroll down further, you will see the transcript for you, right? For the internal transcript, right? Go all the way down there. This is the internal transcript, right? All of the internal transcript all merged into one, right? So yeah. Next, we'll then be passing it through into this AI agent, right? So AI agent, and we'll be using the prompt from above, right? And we'll just be using the prompt from above, right? So this is just a general prompt that will tell them that you'll be getting 3 different data sources, right? You'll be getting the meeting summary, the external script, internal script, and we want them to produce the key takeaways, pain points, solutions, buying intent, sales opportunity, right? You can customize this based on your sales, flows, right? All in all, just make sure the most important thing is to make sure that this format is you follow this format, right? Output only valid JSON, right? No real line breaks. And for these data inputs, right, you can head over to here, general summary. You can get it from the FATHM webhook, right? Just scroll down, the summary, just drag it, put it down, right? The general summary. And for external transcripts, you need to go back to the code that you did, right? So you need to scroll down and find, this is the external transcript, right? And for internal, you have to go all the way down to find the internal transcript for the merge text. And you come out all of the external transcript, right? And the internal transcript, all of this. Yep. Next, we'll be adding a chat model, right? So chat model, click plus and OpenAI. As per usual, you can refer to our previous videos to see how you can create the credential to connect to OpenAI, right? And we'll be using GPT-5 Nano, right? Cheapest version. And you can then have a structured output parser, right? You can just copy paste this one, right? Hit over here, require specific output format, output parser, structured output parser, right? There we go. Now we just need to copy paste this, right? This in general just make sure that the output format is clean and is a valid JSON, so that later on when we upload it into JHL, it will not return an error. Yeah, just quickly generate this and see what's the output, right? Then next we'll be creating a node to clean up the formatting, right? So same thing, code node, code in JavaScript, right? So we'll just be copy pasting from the previous workflow again, right? So this is the node, the code for it. So what this code does is it basically takes the summary that's generated from the AI and makes sure that it is clean, right? It's clean, right? It replaces these backslashes, right? Quotes, new lines, and it replaces tabs. So that it returns safe, clean data, right? So it doesn't cause things to fail when we reach here, when we are putting info into JHL. Yeah. So what this code does is it makes sure that the summary that was generated from AI is clean, right? It's safe and it doesn't cause problems when you put info into JHL, right? It makes sure that the new lines, right? New lines, tabs, quotes are properly formatted, and yeah, it's safe and clean. Yeah. It does the same thing as the structured output parser that we've set earlier, but it's just like a quality control check, right? It's a extra safety, right? Right, so now that we've gotten the output, right, it takes a while because it's a 20-30 minute call, so it's quite a lengthy call, right? So this is the output, right, in proper bullet points. Yep. So next we'll be setting up the HTTP request to send into JHL, right? So this one will be just HTTP request, right? And we'll be heading over to JHL's API documentation, right? Right? This one, developer portal, explore context API, right? Right, so after we've reached here, right, we should be using this, but this endpoint has already been deprecated, so we won't be using this. Instead, we'll be using search, right? Search, maybe not this one. It should be search contact, so you have to find, yeah, search contact. So search, the third one, right? Or you can head over to the left side, right? You just click on contacts and scroll all the way down to find search. So we'll be searching contacts first, right? So setting up this in the HTTP request is rather simple, right? So just copy this real quick. Head over here, click post, paste the URL. Now we set up the headers. Go back here, we need version, copy that, and we need this date, right? Version, and copy the date. This is the version. We also need to set up the authorization, right? So add another parameter, authorization, and bearer, and we'll insert the token, right? The token is located in your JHL. Let me just. So the token, you can get it from the private integrations, right? Create new integration. You can put it as an demo, right? Just name it. And you have to give it an access, right? These are the scopes that you'll be giving it access to, right? So I'll be giving it access to view and edit the context, right? And also I would just put in some extra opportunity scopes, right? That's it. Create. So we just need to copy this, right? Remember, copy this and keep it somewhere that you don't show it to anyone else, right? So just copy this and paste it here, barrier token. There we go. Next, we then need to set up the body, right? So just some body. For this one, we need to head back to here and we need to hit into this link, right? This documentation link for searching context. So after you reach here, right, this is just to searching for context searching, right? So you need to set up the location ID as it is required, right? The page limit, yeah, that's about it, right? But in my previous workflow, right, this is what I've set up. I've included the location ID, right? This one also same. It's best not to let anyone else see it, right? Page limit as well, and I've set up a filter for the email to contain the email from the webhook, right, which is the person's email. right? So it also filters for the person's name and last name, and sorts based on the date that's updated in an ascending order, right? So yeah, so you can set this up based on this documentation that they have on ClickUp, right? So just paste it into the body, right? So hit back to this one, click it, using JSON, right? Body type is JSON, and we'll be using JSON, and you just paste it, right? Expression, right? So to get this value, right, you can hit back to the FATHM data, right? And yeah, just drag and drop from the email, right? This one, the email. You see the person's email here, right? And for the name, right, it's the same thing, right? The name, the person's name. Yep. So let me just search and see. You should be able to see the person's name here. Oh, oops. This isn't capital. Yeah, it's capital sensitive, so make sure you name it properly, right? Just delete this. AI engine 1, right? And it should be working now, right? There we go. So now we just have to search whether or not the contact is already in, right? In this case, because we did not put this this token is based on the another sub accounts token, right? So this token did not work for this client, right? So I'll have to change up the person's email right here, right? So instead of it being dragged over from the previous webhook data, I'll just be creating it based on this dummy data that I have here, right? So it'll be Jason Smith, and this is his email, right? So copy his email, right? This is just because it's a demo purposes, but if it's the live data, the production account, right, it's working already. And be copying his name, right, Jason Smith. Jason Smith. Right, so remember to change the location ID as well, right? So here, you paste it, it should be working now. Yeah, so you can see, you can locate Jason Smith, right? And it's based on his email and his name, right? So make sure, in your case, right, make sure to change the location ID, the access token, right, based on the sub account that you're connecting it to the, right? So this one will usually be taken from the webhook data, right? So it should be taken from here, but in this case, because I'm using a demo data, so it's not a real person, so I have to type their email in here, right? So next will be uploading the node into GHL. So similarly, right, it's HTTP request again, right? And we'll be heading back to the API documentation, right? So we'll be going to nodes, right, under context, nodes, and we'll be creating a node, right? So just copy the link as well, the URL, the endpoint URL, changing it to post, and copying it here. Actually, it'll be easier if you just duplicate this, actually, yeah. Just duplicate it, right? There we go, and now we just need to change this URL. Right, so because we already have the version and the authorization set up already, right? So now we just hit back and we just look at, yeah, so we need this contact ID instead. So we'll be needing the contact ID from the person, which is in my case Jason White. So this is what this node is for, right? So what this node is it basically searches for the person's ID, right? So this is the person's ID. So go back to the one where we create a node. So we just need to drag this ID into the URL, right? We need to replace this contact ID part here. We need to replace this contact ID with the person's contact ID. Okay. So just drag and drop it here. Delete this. Yep, that should do it. Right now we just need to change up the body, right? So let me just copy paste it from the previous one, right? Because this is the format that I want it to be in. So I'm gonna copy paste it. here, right? So now I just need to rename it based on the actual node that's coming from, right? So here, client summary, drag it, drop it, right? Let me delete this previous one. So yeah, just continue deleting it. And you have to be wary of this backslash and n, right? To make sure the formatting is correct. If not, it will return as an invalid JSON, right? Just drag and drop every single one of this, right? Right. So now once you've dragged and dropped all of this summaries from the AI agent, right? You get to see this is the output, right? But when you put it into the JShell, right, you'll have a nicer formatting, right? Just execute it, right? Successfully you entered. So now we just have to head back into JShell, right? Under Jason Smith, right? We can click on notes. I should see the note populate here, right? See. Client summary, key takeaways, pain points, solutions discussed, and buy signals, right? All of this transferred into JShell, right? All automatically transferred, right? So in the case where this thing is active, right? When you finish a call, the webhook will automatically be sent through this the call information. So when you finish a call, the video. So when you finish a sales call, right, the recording will automatically be sent through this webhook into n8n, where it will then clean up the transcripts, right? Clean up and separate the transcripts, summarized, and then where it cleans up the formatting and be sent into GHL. And yeah, that's about it, right? From scattered conversations, right, to a centralized searchable record right into your CRM, right? So yeah, set this up for your team, right? And your team will never miss a detail and everyone will be on the same page. Yeah, thanks for watching and happy building. Thank you.